By the grace of Allah, on the 4th of April 2019, a delegation of 22 members of Majlis Khuddam Ahmadiyya UK made a 7-day journey to Georgia for Tabligh Waqf-e Arsi. Here's a brief video report highlighting some of the key activities of Khuddam in Georgia. Khuddam from all across the country gathered at Baitul Futuh Mosque on the 4th of April for this historic journey. They brought with them their letters addressed to beloved Huzur to be posted together in a single envelope, seeking his prayers for the success of the trip. Secretary Tabligh UK Ibrahim Ikhlaf Sahib and Sadr Majlis Khuddam Ahmadiyya UK Abdul Qudus Arif Sahib joined them at the mosque. Addressing the Khuddam, they emphasized on the importance of prayers, strong bond with Khilafat Ahmadiyya and obedience to the system of Jamaat at all times. The flight departed from Luton Airport in the afternoon and landed in Kutaisi Airport at midnight. Khuddam were welcomed by Mohsin Tahir Sahib and Wasim Ahmed Sahib of Georgia Jamaat. The following day, Khuddam started with Fajr prayers in congregation, breakfast and a thorough debrief on the history and current affairs of Georgia by Mohsin Sahib. He also described what the Jamaat has been up to recently and the itinerary for the trip. Then, as a group, Khuddam left to visit the Okatsi Canyon, a 7-kilometer landscape which Khuddam were able to explore through the hills and a suspension bridge, a scenic route with mountains, lakes and caves. Khuddam offered Jummah and Asr prayers in congregation at an open field and later listened to the live Friday sermon by Hazrat Khalifatul Masih Ayyadahullah Ta'ala bin Nasrihil Aziz. In the evening, they left for the city of Batumi and arrived there at around 10:30 p.m. The following day, Khuddam started with Fajr prayers in congregation, breakfast and then set out to Batumi town centre where they explored the city. While exploring this beautiful city, Khuddam also met and engaged in interesting conversations with the wonderful local people of the country for better understanding of each other. Zohar and Asr prayers were offered in congregation at the Batumi Mosque, the only mosque located in Batumi which was built in 1866. Khuddam then had a meeting with the Georgian Muslims Union and some of its members at their office in the afternoon. The Khuddam learned more about the challenges Muslims face in Georgia and also shared their own experiences of reaching out to the wider community in the UK. The Khuddam also touched upon some of the recent awareness campaigns run by the Ahmadiyya Muslim Community UK to remove misunderstandings about Islam and to build bridges with other communities in the country. Sunday the 7th of April was a day full of blessings and memories. The day started with congregational tahajjud and Fajr prayers. Khuddam then set out to visit a remote village in the Ajara region with a population of around 150, almost all of them being Muslims. This was a very beautiful mountainous region with villages living with very minimal resources. Upon arrival, Khuddam were greeted with hugs by the Imam of the village and the locals and touched cheeks with each other in a form of local greeting used by these pure-hearted villagers. The Khuddam presented a large number of books on various topics collected by the Georgian Jamaat as a donation for an under-construction library in the village. It was an extremely emotional and humbling experience to see the people of that village showing such a great interest in the books as soon as they were brought inside the mosque. With the aid of a local translator, Khuddam were able to conduct an open discussion inside the mosque with the Imam and the locals. After exchanging individual introductions, the villagers were introduced to the Ahmadiyya Muslim community and its message. A local to the village and Jamaat's dear friend Zaza Mikladze then took Khuddam to a local historic mosque at which he also joined them for Zohar and Asr prayers. In the evening, Khuddam left for Tbilisi, and during this journey, Khuddam as well as our friend Zaza listened to beloved Huzur's live address of National Waqf-e Ijtima UK. The following morning, Khuddam explored the capital city Tbilisi. The Khuddam conducted themselves in an excellent manner and remained obedient as they continued to engage with the wonderful local people whilst exploring this beautiful city. Hidden within the depths of the city, Khuddam found a mosque which was shared between Sunni and Shia Muslims. The mosque had two separate mihrabs inside, one for the Sunni Muslims and the other for the Shia Muslims. Khuddam were welcome to offer azan and their Zuhr and Asr prayers at the mosque. It was heartening to see the unity of Muslims in Georgia and the lack of excessive sectarianism. In the evening, Khuddam visited the Jamaat mission house in Tbilisi. The mission house was very beautiful and included a nice living space, kitchen and an area for table tennis. After a short break, Khuddam had dinner during which Murabbi Sahib spoke about Georgia and the Jamaat. Khuddam offered Maghrib and Isha prayers in congregation and left at night for their hostel. On the morning of Tuesday the 9th of April, Khuddam met a close friend of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, Bishop Malkas Songolashvili, at the Botanical Gardens of Tbilisi, where they walked together discussing all sorts of topics. The Khuddam were impressed by his strong health and open-minded views. The bishop described Hazur Anwar Ayyadullah Ta'ala bin Nasrihil Aziz as someone who shines with kindness and said to us that you are blessed to have such a leader to lead the community in this time of global uncertainty. The bishop was also informed about him being mentioned as a very close friend of Jamaat by His Holiness Hazrat Mirza Masroor Ahmad, Khalifa of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, at a recent group meeting with the members of Khuddam al-Ahmadiyya. In the afternoon, Khuddam had a successful interfaith event at the Bishop's Peace Cathedral on extremism and radicalization, discussing its causes and solutions. The panel consisted of the Bishop, a member of the Georgian Parliament and former mayor of Tbilisi, Zurab Chiabarashvili, the co-founder of the Tolerance and Diversity Institute, Mariam Gaftatse, an Ahmadi Khadim from the UK, Usama Riaz Sahib, and Murabbi Silsila and Sadr Sahib Georgia, Jawad Ahmad Bhatt Sahib. Mohsin Tahir Sahib acted as the moderator. The panelists described their views on radicalization and the future of Georgia. In the evening, Khuddam went to the mission house and were later joined by two close friends of Georgia Jamaat, George Kopalishvili and Temo Shengelaya, who happens to be a famous young Georgian poet as well. Khuddam hosted them for dinner and the evening was full of emotions.
All of you look alike, but not, I don't say visual. All of you are shining with your eyes and with your mouth kindness. When I meet you, I see that, I feel that, and sometimes I think that you have no problems, you are not human, and you are guys who are just happy and wants to give to others also happy.
I know like many things that your Jamaat is doing over the world, and I think like I am obliged to thank you for making like world better place, because things you are doing really impacts whole world.
The evening ended with congregational prayers at the mission house. For their last day of activities, Khuddam visited the Bishop's Centre Betelli for the Peace Cathedral, a place used for functions and as a hostel for people in need. The Khuddam were able to meet members of the cathedral, the local youth members from different faiths, and a leader of the local Shia Muslim community. Khuddam all had an informal gathering where they discussed life in Georgia for minorities and the importance of interfaith dialogue. A generous meal was served by the locals, involving interesting discussions with all members present. The bishop kindly joined us in congregational prayers, and then the Khuddam wrapped presents which they bought for children living in an orphanage. The Khuddam also contributed together to make a group donation to the charity of the bishop, for which he was very grateful. The bishop conveyed his regards to beloved Huzur Ayyadahullah Ta'ala bin Nasrihil Aziz. Khuddam then went towards an orphanage and upon arrival met with the head of the orphanage, informing her about the importance of looking after the orphans in Islam. The Khuddam asked some questions to gain a better understanding of how the orphanage works. Their presents were handed to some of the children, which was greatly appreciated by the head and the children themselves. It was another emotional experience for Khuddam to experience. At night time, Khuddam performed Maghrib and Isha prayers in congregation. After silent prayers, Khuddam then held a short meeting with the members of the Georgian Jamaat, Murabbi Sahib, Mohsen Sahib and Wasim Sahib. Khuddam thanked them for their exceptional hospitality and efforts, and gifts were exchanged. The Khuddam were very emotional as this was their final day of activities for their Georgia Tabligh Waqf Arzi. Throughout the whole trip, the Khuddam read Noah's Ark to further their understanding of their faith. On Thursday, the 11th of April, after performing Fajr prayers in congregation, Khuddam left their hostel to arrive early at Kutaisi airport. Alhamdulillah, they had a very smooth journey and landed at Luton airport in the afternoon.